So, in this lesson, we're going to learn about some divisibility rules. So these are some tricks that you can use to be able to tell if a number can be divided by one of the more common numbers that we tend to use. So the first divisibility rule you can probably already figure out, but all even numbers divide by 2. So if we make a list of the multiples of 2, this can show you why. So, first of all, 2, and if we were to continue multiplying by 2, the next number we get to is 4. So 4 can obviously be divisible by 2 because 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6, which can be divisible by 2. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 6 is 12, and so forth. We can keep going on basically forever, going up by 2's. Now you'll notice that those are all even numbers, and any number that is not in that list is basically an odd number. So the 1 that would be in front of the 2, the 3 that would be the 2 between the 2 and the 4, the 5, the 7, the 9, the 11, the 13, the 15, the 17 after that are all odd numbers. And so it's true that all even numbers are a multiple of 2 and can therefore be divided by 2. The next one is also fairly obvious when you start looking at the multiples. So let's look at the multiples of 5. So this says all numbers ending in 5 or 0 can be divided by 5. So if we make our multiples of 5, we start with 5, then 10, then 15, then 20. So 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 2 is 10, 5 times 3 is 15, 5 times 4 is 20, 5 times 5 is 25, and so forth. Now, you'll notice that every time we're going up, every time we hit a 5 or a 0 as our last digit, so these two are digits, so the last digit, whenever we hit that 0 or 5, that number is always divisible by 5. And that can go basically on forever, just like this one can. So those two rules are fairly easy to show in this manner. The next rule, actually I should mention with this one as well, any number that ends in a 0 can also be divided by 10. And I'll show you why that is as well. So if it ends in a 0, it can be divided by the number 10, and that's because if we do the multiples of 10, we get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and so forth. So you'll notice that every time we're going up, we get to a number that ends in 0. That number is always a multiple of 10, so can therefore be divided by 10. Finally, I'll get to the rule of 3's. This one's a little bit different, but what it basically says is that if you have some number where the digits add up to a number divisible by 3, then that number is divisible by 3. So I'll read it out here. So if all of the digits of a number add to a value that can be divided by 3, then the original number that you're talking about here also divides by 3. So let's look at an example of this. So for example, 345. So that's got 3 digits in it, a 3, a 4, and a 5. So if you add 3 plus 4 plus 5 you'll get 3 plus 4 is 7, add 5, 12. Now, we know that 12 is divisible by 3. So, based on this rule, we know that 345 is also a number that can be divided by 3. This can work with really, really large numbers as well. So, for example, if I was to do 12, actually, I'll do a number over here. If I was to do 12,963,027. So if I add up all of those digits, 1 plus 2 plus 9 plus 6 plus 3 plus 0, which I won't bother doing, plus 2 plus 7, you'll find that's 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 9 is 12, plus 6 is 18, plus 3 is 21, plus 2 is 23, and plus 7 is 30. The number 30, obviously, is divisible by 3. 30 divided by 3 is going to give you 10. So, for a number like 345, it may not seem that important, but if you get some massive number here, then it is really nice to know that it is able to be divided by 3. Now, the same thing applies for this rule if you simply replace that 3 with a 9. So any number, all digits of a number, if all digits of a number add to a value that can be divided by 9, then the original number also divides by 9. And I could show you this works again, but it basically follows the exact same premise that any number that you can create a sum of the digits that divides by 9 will also divide by 9. So these are some tips for you to find out if some big and hard to manage numbers can be divided by some of the simple numbers that we use often. And when you're doing that, it may be able to help you bring that big number down into a smaller number by dividing it by 2, by 5, by 10, by 3, or by 9. I hope this is helpful.